Hello and welcome. It's time to talk about all of the books I read this year, so this is a review of every book I read in 2024 with only one sentence per book. Major spoilers for the guest list because I don't know how to describe the guest list without completely spoiling that one. Let's get into it. The longest, shortest history book I've ever read. It turns out that you don't need absolution from those you've wronged, you can just give it to yourself. The Vatican. The Vatican is afraid of gender. Entitlement is the death of empathy. The only book brave enough to portray a lawyer as so poor that the D in deposition stands for desperate. The only death here is my motivation to read a book that gives me a list as an entire chapter. A middle schooler's personal legend is to figure out new creative ways to bully the 6th grade history teacher. A sequel so good, I didn't realize it was the second book in the series. And it turns out you can write a book about queer movie stars from the 50s without bringing up the Hays Codes once. Fae, magic, forests, and depression. Either this is magical realism or my D&D game. This book has concepts of a villain. Get ready for one of the most evocative pieces of prose to be rendered absolutely meaningless in favor of evil lesbians because lesbians are evil, I guess. This problem could have been solved with polyamory. Detroit become human if there was never a robot revolution and the robots didn't mind being abandoned in a graveyard when they were no longer functional. Michael Crouch might be the voice of my sleep paralysis demon. As it turns out, the politics of piracy is very complicated and not as swashbuckling as Johnny Depp made it seem. Apparently, this is not a Bluebeard retelling. It's much worse. A 500-page novel with about 7 plot points. Death, grief, time travel, and ghosts. Either this is magical realism or my D&D campaign. Why would God send a saint to humble the elite when a whore will suffice? The only thing more obtainable than this book's portrayal of Korean beauty standards is my patience. House of Leaves, if House was a sassy anti-hero who joined the hero's team in the second season due to being a fan favorite villain. People who become insects, cosmic horror, and walking shadows. Either this is magical realism or my D&D campaign. Everyone forgets that the 50s were the Jim Crow era until you actually interact with Black history from the 50s. Florence Pugh once said she loved portraying a tormented woman, and thus I would propose that her male counterpart is the audiobook narrator Michael Crouch, because what the fuck, man? Everybody wants to kill Will. A class warfare retelling of Pandora's Box. Magical pussies, doomsayers, complicated family dynamics. Either this is magical realism or it's sexpionage in ancient China. Make no mistake, this book is not about 13 husbands. The only thing scarier than the apocalypse is an MLM scam. Much like glitter, you will spend all of eternity covered in the flecks of your shattered heart after reading this book. This book was about things, for sure. But what those things are, I could not tell you. We begin as a mystery, and end as absurdist horror. Oh, that's why Tumblr banned pornography? Fuck your grand conspiracy theories, give me nepotism. We have a POV from the octopus? He's a Monday morning lunatic and a madman on occasion. If she had to choose between defeating Nazi Germany and nagging her husband to sign the divorce papers, Mila chooses Germany. Oh, I love the way women die violently in order to give their male counterparts character development. And I bet they don't even know about the super mega death maze underneath the palace. And the slugs say unto thee, death before reproduction. The only thing a demon from the depths of fathomless hell fears more than a saint is a teenage dirtbag. The deep desire to shave your head as a form of coping seems to be a universal female experience. Nothing boosts morale quite like throwing America in a truck and sending it to the front lines of war. If Titus Crow has no fans, then I am dead and buried. The modern version of being caught between Scylla and Charybdis is being caught between a bone cult and talking out your feelings. It's like the birth of Aphrodite, but in reverse. Believe it or not, this title is a very morbid pun. I don't think that's how sociopathy works. Sure, I guess you could call it a crime, but I don't think anyone did anything wrong. When I said fuck Nathaniel Hawthorne, I did not mean it literally! I got so annoyed at the B-plot's presence that it actually led me to predicting the themes of the plot twist before I got there. Father of the Year remains the undefeated champion. I was more stressed out over the housewife than I ever was for the spy. Mind games, manipulations, emotional affairs, and a deep desire to punish the woman you claim you love. Either this is magical realism or a retelling of my previous relationship. The baby is referred to as kumquat. Much like a minor case of major brain damage, this is a small jaunt of an 800-page sojourn. You have one toddler in your inventory. Gaslight, the novel, starring the most pathetic monsters you've ever laid eyes on. Riverdale, if Riverdale had a cohesive plot. You've added a baby to your inventory, but it's marked stolen. The world is ending, but humanity remains beautifully determined to survive. If you ask Molly's father what his daughter's name is, he might just say Megan. Alternatively, The Cabin at the End of My Patience. But he's ugly, and I'm glad he's dead, cause there was no fucking candle in his pumpkin head. The barnstorming era, with as minimal barnstorming as feasibly possible. A writing journey one woman takes to find herself. The world is ending, and even so, middle schoolers are still the worst. It does not matter how many adults are in this teenager's life, no one will take her to the hospital. Live, laugh, mushroom. Women are the best at getting away with murder because period stains have taught them how to get blood out of anything. A deeply emotional read with a random crime-fighting snake. Someone needs to introduce the concept of polyamory to this small town. This is quite possibly the best bad book that I have ever read. Discovering lesbians in the woods is grounds for being burned at the stake, I fear. And this is why the French need to stay in France. Imagine having beef with a teenage boy that isn't even your kid. A cruel dystopia of children being separated from their parents. I don't care that much about grandmas written like 30-year-old women. Catalina is more concerned about being falsely accused of being a horse thief than he is with the one time he went to war with the Dutch.